And now, let's get analytical.
That's what I do.
This is Colleen, a senior analyst at Forrester Research. Can you fill us in on what to expect from the world of feedback management?
Well, you're in luck, because we just wrapped up a Forrester Wave, and part of the evaluation process involves speaking to customer references for each of the vendors that we evaluated. Based on these conversations and my daily interactions with a variety of CX professionals, I'm seeing a few trends related to the customer feedback management market, which I'd like to talk about today. The first is services. The second is organizational readiness and willingness. And the third is, of course, generative AI. So first, services. When asked, the references for this wave repeatedly spoke about the quality of services from their CFM vendor as a key factor in the decision to choose that vendor and in their ongoing success. Buyers often refer to their vendor as a partner. On the flip side, when buyers are less than happy with their vendor, they'll say things like, "We don't feel like the vendor is pushing us to mature," or "the vendor isn't helping us improve." So future buyers, if you're thinking about this, you need to consider that services is not just a binary choice between full service and self-service. The quality of those services matter as well. It's a multidimensional aspect of choosing a partner that is sometimes overshadowed by that focus on technical functions. Consider, for example, if now or someday it would make sense for your program to offload something like survey design and survey distribution to vendor services. Doing so would free up your team for more analysis, more internal communication, more storytelling. One of the references I spoke to for this evaluation did just that. The second trend I'm seeing in this market that's important for buyers to think about is organizational readiness and willingness of your organization. I called this the "it's not you, it's me" category, to paraphrase George Costanza for those of you who are Seinfeld fans. Almost half, 13 of the 27 customer references that I spoke to for this evaluation cited internal reasons as the reason they're not fully utilizing all the features offered by their customer feedback management solution. So why? Well, the biggest reasons I hear from my references and from clients I talk to every day are a lack of internal change management or a lack of internal buy-in for doing more than just surveys, which is why I say readiness and willingness are really important. Another internal reason is a preference for using other tools to do some things like analysis in particular. Business intelligence tools were the second most common tech used by VOC and CX measurement leaders, according to our 2023 survey. And I saw that come through in this evaluation with reference customers as well. Many organizations I spoke to are pulling data out of their customer feedback management platform into a data warehouse or a data lake or a BI tool to do that additional analysis. So understanding where your organization is in terms of readiness and willingness to use all the features of your feedback management solution should be an important part of your consideration when buying or looking at a new tool. Like services, this isn't binary. CFM vendors are likely better at text analytics than BI tools, and BI tools definitely don't offer the survey functions that CX teams depend on. So it's not a switch either or. You've got to figure out how they fit together, like a puzzle potentially. If your organization has data scientists used to working in BI tools, then the path of least resistance might be bringing your CX metrics and data to them in their preferred tool. And that might have greater impact than trying to change their behaviors. So the third trend I'm seeing, because no webinar or podcast or blog in 2024 is complete without talking about generative AI. CX leaders are anxious to see generative AI enhancements for the vendors they work with. However, my colleagues and I have written some research that for customer feedback management professionals, generative AI is still more of an evolution. It's not quite yet that revolution that everyone's looking for. In short, we need to avoid shiny object syndrome. Focus on value-added use cases, not just Gen AI for the sake of Gen AI. And why is that? It's because generative AI can't yet replace traditional analytics, such as prescriptive and predictive analytics. These non-generative AI techniques might be a little boring, but they're also more reliable for understanding things like revenue per customer and how to improve customer satisfaction by using things like linear regression analysis. In contrast, of course, generative AI is non-deterministic, which makes it exciting. It means you can get different answers and sort of creative answers, but you can't base business decisions on creative answers that may not have the explainability that you need to make those big decisions. Thinking about using generative AI, you want to think about establishing guardrails like prompt engineering and explainability to mitigate these risks. Building those guardrails at the enterprise level is still really difficult, however, for a lot of organizations, which is why we are looking to vendors like customer feedback management and providers to help us with some of those guardrails to make generative AI more usable. So what I've advised in my research is that organizations focus first on those employee-facing use cases, such as summarization of unstructured text. And we're starting to see those features come into the market. Focus on those features and use cases that tangibly support your employees to make them more efficient, more quickly. don't be distracted by shiny objects. That generative AI can do a lot of cool things, but not all the cool things will have business value.